Alrighty, well, I am going to go ahead and get started. I am Rachel. We have a couple of other people on from the CPTC team that are awesome and very active volunteers. It looks like we have Meredith, Jason, Tom is on, and then we also have members of the Black Hills Information Security team. We have Jason, and we have Deb. So say hi to them, and we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to go and share my screen. One second. And can you go ahead and see my screen?
Yep.
Perfect. Alrighty, thank you. I appreciate that. So this is going to be the CPTC Career Education web series. It's one of the first ones we're doing, and we're very excited about the project. CPTC is committed to continuing education, and we are, as a group, trying to continuously get better at that. So here are a couple of the things that we have been doing and want to get better on in this next upcoming year. So first off, we are giving more granular feedback during the competition itself. It's great to have those interactions with you students. However, if you don't know and have honest feedback on those interactions, then you can't improve as effectively. So that's something that I'd like to give credit to Dan Borges for. Second, we plan to release the VMs for the competition infrastructure from the previous year. We should have that up in around a month. We will announce it on Twitter. We will also announce it in the Discord as well, so be on the lookout for that. And then next, we're doing more webinars. This one is specifically a career series. However, we plan on doing other talks as well. I know that the monitoring team is going to do a talk in March, and we have a bunch of other ideas, volunteers that have other ideas. And we love feedback. Please feel free to reach out to us on Discord or via email. You could give us suggestions, or if you have any recommendations for any talks that you guys want to see, things that you feel would have helped you going into CPTC, we would love to hear it, and I would love to get your feedback. And also, we have a lot of people who are posting in the Discord channel asking for ways that they can help. We do accept volunteers. There's a 2-year waiting requirement for some of the volunteer activities. But the best way that you can help right now is to give back to the community, to share your experience, whether this is helping your upcoming team for the following year. You may be graduating, but you should be handing down that information to your upcoming team. And maybe next year you come back with your professional experience and tell them what you could have done better. So just give back to the community in any way that you can. We will have some more information on ways that you can do this in upcoming series, but this is very important. And then speaking of, one second. Okay. And so here are a list of competition resources. If you guys just want to snap a quick picture of the screen right now, we had this up and available in the finals presentation. However, I thought that it was very valuable, so I wanted to leave it up. We will be working on improving and up. One of the additional things we will do. And next, I just want to talk a little bit about the CPTC Career Education web series. This is basically just how to leverage CPTC to get a job. So we are going to do a 3-part series. This is part 1, job hunting with Jason. He's an expert on this. I recommend you go follow him on Twitter. He's great. And then we are going to take you to what happens when you get the interview. We are going to bring in a bunch of people from our team that have, some of which have gotten a job leveraging their CPTC experience. And then part 3 is going to be strategies for success when you first start your position. So we're going to walk you all the way through getting your first entry-level job. A lot of this will be geared towards security. However, it should be applicable to other tech jobs as well. And next, I just want to give special thanks to Jason, to John Strand, to Deb. They are fantastic resources. They are resources that I personally use, which is why I had heard of Jason, because I follow him myself. And so honestly, they're all great resources. And when I contacted them initially, I was just hoping to do a shout out or just get them on the podcast, and they agreed, or get them on the web series, and they agreed to set up this entire web series part 1 for you. So big shout out to them. Definitely take some time right now and go and follow these people, add them on LinkedIn, and go check out their website, because they are continuously impressing me with the content that they put out. And with that, I will go ahead and I am going to turn it over to you, Jason.
Rachel, thank you so much. I am going to share my screen here and try not to have any kind of security breach whatsoever.
Perfect.
That looks right. Does everyone see a LinkedIn screen?
I do.
Fantastic. All right, everybody. Hi, my name is Jason Blanchard. I am the Content and Community Director of Black Hills Information Security, which means we produce and create content. We build and foster community. Like, we try to bring people together so that they can meet each other, so that way they can enrich and share their knowledge and, you know, do life together. But one of the things I do on the side is, when the pandemic started, I have a particular set of skills when it comes to job hunting, and I developed those skills when I was an instructor at a film school in Florida called Full Sail University. So I taught film at Full Sail University, and I was the last class. So you have to imagine, you've gone through the entire program, you're now in your last class, and at the end of my class is graduation. And so normally at the beginning of the class, I would say, hey, everybody, you have about 23 days until you're unemployed. And it was like that moment where everyone's like, oh, wow. Like, because when you're in school, you just think about being in school. You're like, I have my next class, I have my next class, I have my next assignment, I have my next exam, I have my next this, I have my next that. But when they got to my class, I said, you have about 23 days until you're unemployed. And you could see that look of fear that would just like set in, like, oh God, I have to get a job. And so most of my class was about how to find work in the film industry. And when I taught how to find work in the film industry, we talked about how to network properly, how to meet people, how to, you know, learn about where companies were, their phone numbers, how to contact, how to introduce yourself. And then as I got into the cybersecurity industry, I realized that if you take the concepts of pen testing with reconnaissance and open source intelligence gathering and exploit development and like bypassing EDRs and all that stuff, I was like, wait a second, this is job hunting. Like, it's the exact same concepts. And in fact, if you take nothing away from today, except for this, it's that treat job hunting like a CTF. If you treat job hunting like a CTF, where you're scoring points by getting interviews, by getting your resume custom designed to get past, you know, whatever parameters they've put in place to try to block out the people who don't belong or whatever you might think happens. Like, if you start thinking about this as a game, not as like, oh my God, it's a game, but as like, oh my God, it's a game, then I think job hunting goes a whole lot better. And one of the ways that this is going to be a whole lot better today is if you let me know in the chat what type of job you're looking for once you graduate. So we're going to talk about those types of jobs when you graduate, and so I will watch the chat. I do a Twitch stream twice a week on Tuesday nights and Friday afternoons. I've been a little sick recently, so I've delayed. I didn't do one last night, but I will do one this Friday. And so you can watch the past videos where we talk about these concepts. Now, I have about 12 hours of content on job hunting that I try to squeeze into an hour where I hit all the highlights. But if you can check out the streams in the future, then I go in depth in everything overall. So currently, Amanda says threat hunting, security analyst, not pen testing. All right, so we're going to get started with that. I'm a huge fan of LinkedIn. It's because the people are there, the jobs are there, the companies are there, and the beginning of the reconnaissance is there. So I'm going to take Amanda's threat hunting security analyst role, and I'm just going to type in the word security analyst here. And I'm going to show you a couple of things that you can do. So today, like I said, it's job hunting. Now, how do you job hunt properly, and how do you treat job hunt like a CTF? So what I like to do is I go over here to jobs inside LinkedIn, and I get like there's 17,440 results for jobs. Now, one of the things that you can do too is instead of doing a search for a security analyst jobs, you can literally type in certs. So if I typed in the GCIH, which is a GAC certified incident handler role, it will show me that there's 3,554 results in the United States for the GCIH certification, because you can search per certification. Now, you can't do a search for Network Plus or Security Plus, but you can do a search for CompTIA. So if you do have a CompTIA certification, you can find all the jobs that are currently looking for CompTIA certifications. Now, the other cool thing too is that if you know that you want to work with Wireshark, or you've worked with Wireshark, or you know how to use Wireshark, you can type in certain security tools into the LinkedIn search and find the jobs that are looking for that type of tool. So if I typed in Metasploit here, then you would see all the jobs that are currently looking for people who understand Metasploit. So there's 1,577 jobs in the United States currently looking for a Metasploit. So if I went in here and typed in Kali Linux, then you would find all the jobs that are looking for Kali Linux, which is pretty much the exact same as what I just did. So it's not just about putting in the actual title. It's about putting in something that has to do with the job. Now, if once you get a little further in your career, like if you really want to find, like if you're into compliance and governance and all that other stuff, if you type in NIST, then you're like, oh, NIST, yay. But you can find all the things that have NIST as a policy. AO says, will we be touching on how to hunt better, specifically internships, co-ops, as I'm currently still a sophomore? Absolutely. So I love when I find students who are in their like freshman, sophomore year, because once you get in your junior year, you start like really thinking about the future. But in in sophomore and freshman year, like one of the things that you can start doing is developing mentorships. Now, I'll talk about mentorships in a little bit, but there's this thing that you can do as a college student, especially as part of the organization that you're with. Like you're in a collegiate competition like organization where other people have done this before you, other people will do this after you. So there's that like camaraderie. I don't want to call it a fraternity, but I want to call it like you have a shared experience, which means you can reach out to anyone that's ever been a part of this organization and say like, hey, I'm in college. Could I talk to you? And we'll talk about that in just a minute or two. All right, so if I was looking for security analyst roles, and I'm going to type in security analyst roles, one of the things that you want to do is go to all filters, and you want to search for the past week. So you want to search for past week because these jobs are still viable. These jobs haven't been sitting around for a long time. If you see a job that's been around for like a month or 2 months, one of the things that's either one, they don't have a very good hiring process, or two, they are super picky about who they're choosing to bring in for that position. So if you go to that past week, you can also do past 24 hours, but you don't need to, because most likely if you find a job in the past 24 hours, nobody is equipped to actually start receiving the resumes and processing that job yet. So in the past week, you're good. Now, for all of you college students, do me a favor and never, ever, 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 ever type or click one of these buttons. And the reason why is because if you type in or add the experience level, you'll be nothing but disappointed and depressed. Because if you type in internship and they ask for 5 years of experience, you're like, well, then I will never get an internship. And that sucks. But if you put in entry level, you're going to find mid to senior level jobs. And why does that happen? Because just want to remind you that there's a human being responsible for uploading the position to LinkedIn that you will potentially apply for, and that person who uploaded it did not care enough to actually click what type of role it is. And the reason why they don't want to click on what type of role it is because it doesn't help them. If they say it's an entry-level job, then people searching for other jobs won't be able to find it. And they are successful when the most people see that their job is available and then apply for that job. So they don't want to limit themselves by actually limiting themselves. And so they don't select this, which is why you will find jobs for entry-level positions that are looking for 5 to 10 years of experience. So that's just a real quick tip to help you save on your sanity. And then if we go down here, we're like, wait a second, I could have any job in the entire United States if I wanted to, or world if I wanted to, if I click on the remote button. So if I go down here, I have just scaled security analyst roles in the United States down to the 2,444 jobs posted in the last week that are remote. Now, if you want to go work somewhere, you can totally do a search for where you live. And so if I lived in Massachusetts, then I could do a search for Massachusetts, which would then find me the remote jobs in Massachusetts that are security analysts in the past week. Or if I take off the remote, then I found all 905 jobs. Now, if you're sitting here thinking, you're like, all right, that's cool, but there's all these senior level jobs here, and I'm a student looking for an entry level role. How do I find that? Well, if you go in here and type in -senior, then it's going to remove all senior level roles from the job search. So I just removed all 400 roles or so that had that in it. Now, if I remove manager, then we'll also get rid of any manager positions. And if I wanted to, I'd come over here and do a -SR to remove any abbreviations of the word senior. So I'm now down to the 417 jobs that are most likely entry level, or at least entry level enough for you to do a search for. Now, once you've done that and you start looking through here and you find the role that you're interested in, this was posted 6 days ago. It's got 8 applicants. It's an information security analyst role. And let's say you look through here and you're interested in it. Now, once you do this, I need everyone here to do me a favor. Amanda, Ao, and Ao, if I'm saying your name wrong, I apologize. But once you find a job to apply for, I need you to do me a favor. Don't do this. Don't look through the role. Don't like scroll through all of the bullet points and things that they're looking for. Don't scroll through there to find the one thing that you can't do, which will immediately disqualify you from the role. Because what I know about college students and people who are job seekers is that they tend to be concerned about their own abilities and skills, and they tend to self-doubt themselves a lot, and they tend to have a lack of self-confidence in the job hunt process. And so what happens is they find a job that they're interested in, they find the one thing that they can't do listed as a job, and then they immediately go, well, I can't do this one, so I'm going to move on. So if you can do me a favor in the chat right now, throw in what percent of the bullet points you think you need to be able to accomplish or have to where you can feel confident to apply for this role. So what that means is if you think you need to have 70% of the bullet points or 70% of the things mentioned. So if I scroll over here, there's going to be a bunch of bullet points, or if you need to have 50% or 10% or 100%. So just go ahead and drop in. Dakota said 40. I'll wait to see if there's any more. And so what happens is, so truthfully, I always look for 90%, okay? So the answer is nobody knows. There isn't a set rule. You don't have to have 100%, you don't have to have 90%, you don't have to have 40%. It really comes down to, do you want to apply for this position? Because the one takeaway I want to give you today, like if you didn't take the previous takeaway, the real big takeaway for this, especially for college students and people who are getting started in their careers, is this. Don't say no on behalf of someone else. What I mean by that is we as humans tend to look at a job description that we find, we're interested in the job, we're interested in the company, we're interested in all the things that it's doing. We find the 2 or 3 things that we can't do, and all of a sudden we go, well, they probably don't want me. They don't want me, so I'm not going to apply. So if you would please take this with you. Don't say no on behalf of someone else. Now, I've had to internalize this over a long period of time where I work in a creative industry. I come up with ideas often that I'm concerned about because they're not like within a box. It's different. It's weird. I don't know if anyone's going to like it. And so I had to internalize this for a long period of time. Don't say no on behalf of someone else, because I would come up with an idea and then I would be afraid to pitch it because I was afraid that people would say no, so I wouldn't pitch it at all. Now, what I do now is I pitch it and then I let them reject it. I let them say no. And so when you're looking at a job description, take that same mentality with you. So if you're here and you're like, wait a second, I can't do all these things now, but I could do all these things if I was taught how to do these things. And this seems like an interesting job. I am going to apply for it. Now, Once you decide to apply for a job, what does your resume look like? I don't know about you, but the thought of creating a resume makes me want to vomit. It just does. I don't like the idea of sitting down to a blank sheet of paper and trying to describe myself and my skills, my abilities, my history, my background. And if you're in college right now, you're like, I don't have any skills or abilities or background or anything. I have no work history. I've only done college. I've done this, collegiate competition. Can I put that? I didn't get paid for it. It's not a job. Is that okay? Can I put that? And so you start second guessing yourself. I don't know about you, but that sounds like it's terrible. Also, the other thing is, there's like this people out there that say, just make a resume. If anyone ever tells you to just make a resume, internally go, why don't you just make a resume? Because the word just means that they don't understand what it actually means to create a resume. And so I'm going to go to the next step here. If you ever take a template to create a resume with, just burn it. Just burn the template. Don't even try, because the template only works until you start putting information into it. Because, I got this right here, and it's like, I don't know about you, but as soon as I try to give myself a title, I'm like, security analyst. That's the moment I have to am I not? Do I put my name? Do I put my name again? Do I put my address? Why does my address matter? Does that matter? Do I put my phone number? Do I put my email address? And then down here, skills, I have way more skills than this, or do I? Maybe I don't have that many skills. Oh my God, maybe I don't. And then it comes down here to work experience. Like, Jason, I've only been in college. I don't have work experience. I might have an internship or something like that, but I don't have anything to put here. And I've worked with people who've worked for 15 to 30 years, and they're like, well, I've had way more jobs than 3. Do I put them all? Do I only put 1? Do I put all of them? Well, now we're up to 2 pages. Is 2 pages okay? Is 2 pages too many? So I don't know about you, but job hunting and resume building sucks. So here's my recommendation. If you're going to put a resume together, the best way to put a resume together is to use the job description as your roadmap for what information you actually put on your resume. So what that looks like is you take the job description, you copy it, you then go over to a blank document, and then you input it. And then up here, you would say, Amanda Hunt. And then you put phone, and then email, and then LinkedIn profile. And then down here, well, how would you describe yourself? Well, let's talk about that for a second. The next big takeaway from today is this. Humans suck at describing themselves. They are much better at finding something that describes themselves. I am very bad at describing myself, but I'm very good at finding something that describes myself. And I know I'm good at this because if I type in the word Virgo sign, it will tell me all right, so it's this Virgo sign. And then I get down here to personality traits, and I'm like, okay, personality traits of a Virgo. And all of a sudden I go in here, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Detail-oriented, dedicated, flexible, this independent, modest, organized, practical. How about that? It describes me to a T, even if it doesn't. But all of a sudden I start looking here, yeah, detail-oriented, dedicated, flexible, independent, modest. Yeah, that's about right. But if you ask me to sit down to describe myself, I would never come up with detail-oriented, dedicated, flexible, independent, modest, organized, or practical, which is why I don't like making resumes. I like finding things to put on my resume. So I'm going to pivot real quick to a way that you can build your resume. And I know that you're in college, so I'm going to show you a cool trick that you can do for this. But if you've ever had any work experience whatsoever, what you do is you put in the job title that you've had in the past. So if you worked in a restaurant, so let's say you worked in a restaurant as a server, and I did a search in here. Remember, this is United States. So it's any work experience. If you worked as a lifeguard at some point, if you worked as an internship, if you worked while going through college, any job that you had, if you haven't gotten a job inside of information security or information technology yet, And what you do is you go through here and say, exhibits all conduct in accordance with golden nugget policies. Well, you would remove the word golden nugget. It just means you exhibit all conduct in accordance with policies and procedures, as well as federal and state laws and regulations. What we're doing right now is we're doing what's called creating a catch-all resume. And this is what mine looks like when it's finished, is what you do is you go through job descriptions, not for jobs that you want, but job descriptions that you can find of work that you've done in the past or jobs that you want to do in the future. And then you just find anything that's true about you, and then you copy and paste it to a document. So if I go over here and I copy this, I then go to my own blank document. Let's give myself a blank document. And I would say server, because I worked as a server, and then I would drop this in. And I'm going to make sure it's 100% true about me and something that I can use in the future, and said exhibit all conduct in accordance with restaurant policies and procedures, as well as all federal and state laws and regulations. And what you always want to do is when you're creating a resume, all bullet points in your resume start with an action verb in the proper tense. So that means if you did it, it's something in the past. And if you're doing it, then it's something that you're currently doing. So it exhibited all conduct in accordance with restaurant. So I exhibited, that's my action verb. It's in the past. It's something that I did before. And so I use this in my resume. I'm going to go down here and find one more. Consistently deliver positive, courteous, and professional guest service in all interactions with guests, visitors, vendors, and fellow employees. So I go back over here to my blank document. I would drop this in, and that always bugs me, but that's fine. Is this a thing? Consistently deliver positive, courteous, and professional guest experience in all interactions. Like, if that's a true thing about you and it's something that you've done and it describes who you are, won't that help you in all future jobs? This isn't like a cybersecurity thing. This isn't like, this is, I know how to work with people. I know how to do it well. I know how to deliver positive, courteous, and professional guest service. So if you're trying to figure out what to put on your resume, you go through any past work experience that you have, you find anything that's applicable to the kind of work that you want to do in the future, and then you harvest it and you put it on this document where you put all the things that you know how to do. Now, for those of you that are students, watch this. If you go to your class curriculum, or if you go to, let's say, rit.edu or something. So let's say you were at the Rochester Institute of Technology and you went here to, and I have no idea where I'm going right now. Like, you most likely will if you have your school's website. If I went to undergraduate degrees and I went to computer science, and then let's say you were in the computer science degree and it says outcome, 98%, cool. Featured profiles, careers, co-ops, curriculum. There we go. All right, so in your first year, you have this class, all right? So when you get to this class, it says this class serves as an introduction to computation thinking using a problem-centered approach. Here we go. Specific topics covered include expression of algorithms in pseudocode and programming language, functional and interpretive programming techniques, control structures, problem solving using recursive, basic searching and sorting. All right, so let's say you took this class. I'm not saying you did, but let's say you did take this class or whatever class it is that you've taken. What you do is you take the curriculum and you turn it into your resume. And what this looks like is I'm going to show you what the 3 levels of knowledge are. 3 levels of knowledge. And this is the most helpful thing I can teach college students and people who are getting ready to transition into the industry. And also, if you're currently in your junior, sophomore year, if you're in your freshman year, if you're starting to think through this, if you have this information with you, you can start building out your catch-all resume while in school. Whenever you take a class, add a little more to it. When you get a job as an internship, you add a little more to it. You keep adding to this document. I keep adding to this document as I learn to do new things, as I get new jobs. I keep adding to this document. So if we go back here to the 3 levels of knowledge, and if you're like, he's talking really fast and he's transitioning through a lot of topics, the reason I'm talking fast is, once again, I got like 12 hours of content to try to squeeze into the highlights here to make sure that you're equipped to start doing this so that you can get ready for getting a job. The first level of knowledge is called knowledge of. It also is familiar with. And what this means, if you ever come across it in a job description, it means this: I've heard of it before. I took a class on it once. I downloaded it and played around with it. I know what it looks like. Okay. So all this means is like I took a class on it. I attended a webcast. I was in a competition for it. Like I'm not great at it, but I've heard of it. And here's why this is important. Because when you go through job descriptions, if I go back over here to security analyst and job descriptions, I'm going to pick one at random. I don't even know what it's going to be. We'll see if we can find it. We go down here. It says partner with, participate. All right, here we go. It says solid understanding of secure coding concepts. Experience utilizing automated and manual testing to identify and report on. Strong analysis and problem solving skills. Ability to rapidly learn and take advantage of new concepts. Ability to prioritize and meet work. Okay, cool. But let's go back to this one. Solid understanding of secure coding concepts. The issue that everybody has when job hunting is what in the heck does solid understanding of secure coding concepts mean? What we internally think it means is that you have to be an expert in secure coding concepts. That's what all of us think. Whenever we see anything in a job description, we automatically think that you must be an expert in it, or that there are people who are way better at the thing that you were thinking about doing than you are. Here we go. So I just went to another job description here for IBM. It says knowledge of A and DHS security processes. First of all, I have no idea what A or DHS means, and that's okay. But basic knowledge of cloud security, basic knowledge of, experience with, okay. So you start to see these terms used, and instead of you assuming automatically that you have to be an expert in these things, I want you to take a look at these 3 levels of knowledge. So we have knowledge of, familiar with means I've heard of it, I took a class on it, downloaded it once, played around with it, I know what it looks like. Number 2 is I'm proficient in. What this means is I use it on a daily basis. I know the hotkeys. I can, yeah, that's about it. I know the hotkeys. If you don't know what a hotkey is, well, it's a term that I grew up with. It just means if I hit Shift Command 4, it does something besides Shift Command 4. It's those shortcut keys that you can either program yourself or you just know where they are. And it just means I use it on a daily basis. John Strand, the owner of our company, and I were talking yesterday is that there's those jobs that ask for 5 years of experience. You know what they're really looking for? It's just someone that's proficient. That's what they assume. 5 years of experience means you're proficient. Or they're looking for 10 years of experience because they think you'll be an expert after 10 years. Or if they're looking for someone with 3 years of experience because they want you to have knowledge of. But I'm pretty sure there's some of you that have a proficient in something that you don't have 5 years of experience in it, but you use it on a daily basis. You're so good at it. Why would you want to spend 4 more years to get even better at the thing you're already good at? So it's okay for you to say, I'm proficient with this tool. I'm proficient with this technique. I'm proficient with this methodology. I'm proficient with it because I use it on a daily basis. Now, the last one here is called expert in. Expert in is actually harder to decide that you are than knowledge of and proficient in. I work with a lot of people who have a hard time telling themselves that they're an expert or telling other people that they're an expert. And you'll get to a point in your career where you're an expert in something, but you're going to hate saying you're an expert in it because you can't say you're an expert in it because knowing what you do know means you know all the things that you don't know. So there's no way I'm an expert in it because I know all the things I don't know. And if that didn't make any sense to you, sorry. So there are times where I have to tell people I'm an expert in something, and it hurts me internally. And it makes me sad to say I'm an expert in something because I also struggle with imposter syndrome and all those other things. But I found this definition for expert in, which helps me I'm okay with it now. So expert in means I know it so well, I could teach it to someone else. That's all it means. I know it so well, I could teach it to someone else. And there's some of you on this call right now that you know something so well, you could teach it to somebody else. You could give a 10-minute presentation on it. You could make a video on how to do it. You could write a blog post on how that is. And that means you're an expert in that thing. It may not be you're an expert in the entire program, but you're an expert in an aspect of the program. So be careful that you don't get so high on like, I have all this self-doubt. I don't know how to do anything, or like, I don't have any self-confidence. Like, there's no way I'm an expert in this thing. So be careful. And the reason why this matters is because when you're job hunting, all this emotional stuff kicks in. All this like self-doubt kicks in, all these fears kick in, all this, what if I don't get the job? What if I do get the job? What if they don't like me? What if they do like me? All of that stuff is a part of job hunting. And so if you get to this part here and it says knowledge of A&A and security practices, let me show you how this changes. All right, let's say you were harvesting bullet points earlier on and you were creating your catch-all resume over here. And we have this, and you put knowledge of A&A. Watch how this changes when I change this word. Knowledge of A&A and DHS security processes. Now I switch it to proficient in, or proficient of, or let's go proficient in. Do you see how that changes the quantification of this knowledge that you have? Proficient in A&A and DHS security practices, and then expert in A&A and security processes. Like all of a sudden that changes all of that. So what happens is when you're job hunting and you come across a job description like the one right here, and it says identify, classify, and document adversary tactics, techniques, and procedures. Well, if you've ever done that in the past, then you would put some kind of description here that says, I know how to do that thing. And then down here where it says perform malware analysis and extract indicators of compromise to feed our threat intelligence platform, watch this. Knowledge of malware analysis and extracting indicators of compromise to feed our into threat intelligence platforms. Where all of a sudden they're like, well, you need to be able to do this. You're like, look, I don't know how to do that. But I do have knowledge of that thing, which means if I did get this job, I could get up to speed pretty quickly if you just taught me exactly the thing that you want me to do. I've never done it, but I have knowledge of it, which means you don't have to explain it to me. I've heard about it. I've took a class on it. I've used it once. So I'm okay there. So I have knowledge of it. So I'm good. Now, what you do is you use this as a guide map of what you put in your resume. And this is going to go against a lot of things that you've ever heard about building a resume. And it's okay. Your brain right now is struggling to like, so what you're saying is you want me to take the job description. You want me to paste it into a document. You want me then to explain who I am by taking a look at what they're looking for and making sure that I explain myself in a way that, okay. So you want me to use the word like passionate. You want me to talk about financial freedom, or you want me to say currently, oh, here we go. So if I take this, we're currently looking for a talented and passionate security analyst to join our security operations team. So as a talented and passionate security analyst, I'm looking to join a security operations team. With my education in leveraging data science, artificial intelligence, and advanced machine learning algorithms, I want to hunt threat adversaries, identifying and cataloging their tactics, techniques, and procedures. I'm going to stop for a second and just any questions? I am literally taking the job description. I am literally rewriting it to explain I am who you're looking for. So Amanda, if you found this job and you're like, wait a second, I do have some of this background, I do have this knowledge. Now, if any of this isn't true, you just remove it. So if you've never talked about artificial or that other thing before, then you would remove that part. But if you do have any experience in artificial intelligence and education, you learned about it in class, you have knowledge of it, then you say, with my education, artificial intelligence, and advanced machine learning algorithms, I want to hunt threat adversaries, identifying and cataloging their tactics, techniques, and procedures. Like if this is true about you, then why don't you just say you are who they're looking for? And so if we get to as part of the active investigation team, you will work closely with, you're like, I don't need any of that. So I get down here to your efforts will support the evolution to develop technologies. And you would just say, you know what, here's what I want. Looking for a role where I can have a great impact and help make the world more secure. All right, so if you go down here, it says our ideal candidate has a passion for learning. You could incorporate that, your skills to address incidents, cool. If there's things down here that you could use, if it's not needed, you can just delete it and get rid of it. And then down here, it says daily and monthly responsibilities, where you could just switch this to experience and education, where you can take the things that you've done in the past and go ahead and create this section where you would say identify knowledge of, identifying, classifying, documenting adversary tactics, techniques, and procedures. So this is where you use the job description to be a roadmap. I get into this a lot more in some other videos, and if you ever want to, you can stop by the stream, but this kind of helps you understand that the job description is your roadmap. How long should your resume be? Well, if it takes the company 2 pages to explain what they're looking for, then you can take 2 pages to explain who you are. If it takes them 1 page to explain who they're looking for, then it takes you 1 page to explain who you are. If you don't have that much information to put on there, that's fine. If you're doing things like try to hack me, so if you're doing things like try to hack me, and you come down here and you did the junior pen tester, let's say you did this. It says, learn the necessary skills as a career, pen testing methodology and tactics, enumeration, exploit, and reporting, realistic hands-on hacking exercises, and learn security tools. What you can then do is say, I have knowledge of pen testing methodologies and tactics, I have knowledge of enumeration, exploitation, reporting, and I have knowledge of I have realistic hands-on hacking experience within a capture the flag environment. It's okay for you to put those things in there. So if we go to these, it takes you to this place and you're like, do you want to log in? I was like, no, not actually. But anytime they explain the things that you might be looking for, once again, you're just pulling and cherry picking that kind of information out to potentially put in your resume. Now we're going to move on, unless anyone has any questions, to the next step of the job hunting process. So the next step to a job hunt is to apply the company's website. The job that we were just looking at is at IBM. So I'm going to do a search for IBM jobs. So if I go over here to LinkedIn, IBM, and I click on jobs, it's going to list the 21,932 jobs currently available. And if I type in the word security, it's going to give me the 5,596 result of security jobs available. Now, if I do minus sales, and it would take out any of the sales jobs that are there. If I minus DevOps, and it would take out DevOps jobs. So it might get me down to the jobs that I'm actually looking for. And so if you go through here, you're like, oh, cool, yeah, that's the job that I'm looking for. Now, once you find the job, like what's the point of finding the job description is so that you can build that custom tailored resume to apply at the company's website, is that, yeah, here's what I want you to do. Please never, ever, ever, ever apply for a job don't apply for the job at LinkedIn or Glassdoor or Indeed or Monster. Go to the company's website and apply at the company's website. If I scroll all the way down here to the bottom, you'll find things like careers. There we go, career opportunities. And then what you do is you type in things like security here, and then you would find all the different security jobs. And then once you find the same job that you found in LinkedIn or whatever, then you apply for it here. So if I go to select region, and let's say it's the United States. So United States. So now it gave me, here's an entry-level job for the United States. But look at this. Hardware developer summer intern, front-end intern summer 2022, data scientist intern. Oh, wow, DevOps intern. Like all of a sudden, when you go to the company's website, you'll find sections like corporate responsibility and blog. I love blogs because blogs I can start harvesting for any kind of like names or information, where we get into like my life as a career woman in the Middle East, how my non-traditional path led me to a career in cybersecurity. I'm like, okay, well, let me take a look at this blog. Okay, so we got Ann Leslie. So if I go through here, Cyberways, ISC squared. So you can learn all about her background and about who she is as a person. And then we get down here and it says Ann Leslie is a senior managing consultant at. The thing that I do is whenever, oh wait, is this? Where does that take me? Because I don't know. Okay. So this is posted on LinkedIn as well. All right. Oh, this is so I can post it on LinkedIn. All right. I don't want to do that. Here's what I want to do. This goes for all the college students right now. So back to those of you that are like in your freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, this works for if you're a senior too. But if you take and find anybody whatsoever on a company website, and then you type that name in, most likely you're going to find that same person. So we got Ann Leslie, IBM Cloud for Financial Services. Okay, it's the same person. Now, what do you do with this information? Well, one of the things that you can do is take a look at Ann's activity feed. So the reason why I like LinkedIn is because it's the world's largest tattletale for what people do online. It lets me know that within the last 2 hours, Ann has liked this comment, thrilled to be part of the advisory board for the 2022 Canadian Women's Cybersecurity. And all of a sudden you're like, hey, what is this? Maybe I can sign up for that. And like, you can learn who this person is. And so you just found another person that you could potentially reach out to. And then I scroll through here and I'm like, wow, who's Patrick Wheeler? So you might be able to find someone like Patrick Wheeler and you're like, oh, it's Patrick Wheeler again. Oh, I've heard of Faith before. Where have I heard of Faith before? Oh, I've met Faith. Actually, like I have met Faith. Deb and I both have met Faith. So that's cool that her name is listed there. And so as we scroll through here, you see some, is this a college intern? Talent acquisition at KPMG. That's fantastic. You know what talent acquisition people are? They're called magical, I call them magical job fairs. The sole purpose of a talent acquisition recruiter person is to find people jobs. And so if you find these magical job fairs, essentially, what does it say here? It says, at previous companies, people always ask me why working from home is so important. I don't have kids. Yeah. So as I scroll through the feed, I'm always looking for like, what is the thing that I could potentially find that could help me with this job? So if you're looking at, this is open source intelligence gathering. It's part of the reconnaissance phase. How did I find this in the first place? I went to the company's website. I clicked on the blog. I looked at the blogs. I found this blog by Ann. I then put Ann's name into LinkedIn. I then found Ann, and then I looked at Ann's activity feed, which let me essentially introduce me to all these other people that Ann knows and interacts with, which means I could potentially reach out to her. Now, why does it matter that I reached out to Ann? All right, so this is probably the last thing that I talk about today. I'm going to talk about it for like the next 12 minutes and then we'll be done. So if you have any questions, ask them now so that way I can get to them before I need to finish. And I guess I'll just take a break. Am I still here? Am I still sharing my screen? Do you still hear me? Do you still see me? Because every once in a while I could have talked. Okay, good. It's like, no, I was just talking to myself for like the last 15 minutes. Okay, so if we come across Ann, well, why did we find Ann in the first place? It says, how my non-traditional path led me to a career in cybersecurity. Well, isn't that like cool for you as a person who's in college? Like, well, if Ann could do it, then maybe I can do it. Or like, how did Ann get to where Ann is? And so you can read through here and learn more about Ann. You can learn more about the things that she did and how she got to where she is. And then you can do this. And this works 9 out of 10 times for college students. Now, I don't want to give you too much hope, but it's going to work a lot for college students. It works for military veterans and college students. Everybody else, not so much. But for college students and military veterans, this works all the time. So if you were going to, you could send a message to Ann. Now, if you have a LinkedIn premium account, you could send a message that way. Another way that you can reach out to a person is to actually look at their content, the stuff that she's posted. So like 8 hours ago, she posted this. And if she posts anything about jobs, if she posts anything about her career, if she posts anything about the work that she does, you can always comment on it and say, would it be possible to talk to you about this? Now, if you were going to send a message, and we're going to send a message over here to Ann, we're going to do this. here's what you're going to send. So I'm going to go back over here and show you. This is how you write a message to someone you've never met before. And this is what you can do as a college student to introduce yourself to anybody in the whole world as a possible mentor. So sentence number one is why I am reaching out. So in sentence number one, you say, hi, Anne. I found your blog on the IBM website about how you got to where you are in your career, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, so that's why I'm reaching out. Number two, who am I? My name is Amanda, and I'm a college student, and I'm interested in getting a job as a security analyst when I graduate. Or I'm Amanda, and I recently competed in this pen testing competition, and I want to work in threat hunting when I graduate, or like whatever it is. It's just one sentence. Like my name is, and I'm getting a degree at this school. My name is, I want to transition into this type of role. My name is, okay. So it's just one sentence. And then why I care about you or the organization. Like mainly you're going to say why I care about you. Like, and while reading your description of how you got to where it inspired me and I wanted to find you. Like, you're just being honest. Like I was inspired by what you said and I wanted to find you. And so I'm reaching out. Number four, this is what I want. So you're saying, here's what I want. And here's what you do want. A 10 to 15 minute phone call to introduce myself and learn more about how you got to where you are in your career and what advice you have for someone like me. That's what you're doing. And if this terrifies you, don't worry about that. Send it anyway. Because if we go back to the very first takeaway, don't say no on behalf of someone else, is that if you, right now, like internally, some of you are like, I would never send a message to Anne. Are you ridiculous? Are you insane? I don't know this person. I'm a college student. Why would I, like, no. Like all that internal like self-doubt and lack of self-confidence is starting to kick in. Don't. Okay. And then lastly, how to reach me. And that's like, hey, I'm available anytime here on LinkedIn. This is my personal email address. This is my phone number if you want to reach out to me. Now, here's the thing. Don't expect a response. Don't expect a response. Be happy with a response. Okay. So anyone that you ever reach out to, don't expect a response. Be happy with a response. And so what happens is when you reach out to a person like Anne, either through an email or by just reaching out and saying, hey, would it be possible to talk to you? This is the kind of message that you send. This is the kind of message I've been sending for the last 16 to 17 years. I've been sending people messages 16 to the last 17 years, and I don't expect a response. I'm happy with the response. So it's the who am I? Why am I reaching out? Who am I? Why I care about you or the organization, what I want, a 10 to 15 minute phone call, and how to reach me. Now, let me finish with this. If you do get a phone call with Anne or anybody else, if they say, sure, let's go ahead and put it on the schedule, 10 to 15 minutes, let's do that. If you do get this phone call and you can introduce yourself, you can find out how they got to where they are in their career, and you can find out what advice they would have for someone like you. Here's how you end the call. End the call. You do these two things. Here are my top 2 takeaways from our conversation. All right, so that's the first thing you do. You say, here's the top 2 things that I took away from us talking today. And then you say, here is what I plan to do next based on what we talked about. If you do these 2 things at the end of this phone call with this, whoever this human being is, and you can do this all day long to anybody in the entire world, because when they see you as a college student, they think to themselves, I remember when I was a college student. I remember when I was first getting started. I remember when I didn't know what was going on in the world. And if I had that chance to go back and talk to younger me, these are the things that I would say. And then all of a sudden you show up and like, hey there. Hi, what advice would you have for someone like me? And they're like, oh my God, thank you. thank you for giving me this chance to give back, to like teach somebody who's coming up through the industry. Here's all the things I wish somebody would have said to me. I'm going to say it to you right now because I want you to be as successful as humanly possible. And so if you end the conversation saying, here are my top 2 takeaways from our conversation, here's what I plan to do next with our, based on what we talked about, they're going to be like, oh my God, you like totally listened. That is so cool. And if they do that, if they're like, well, hey, I really enjoyed talking with you today. Here's how you finish the call. Would it be possible to reach out in 6 months to let you know how I'm doing? You ask this question. There's almost no one in this world that will ever say no to that. There's no one in this world that would say no to that. And they're going to say like, sure, go ahead and reach out in 6 months. And here's what you're looking for. You're not looking for a job. You're looking for people who are going to point you in the right direction of a job. They're going to say, have you thought about this? Have you talked to this person? Have you reached out to this company? I have a friend that's over here. I know that there's a summer internship that's hiring in this place. We're hiring for summer interns right now. You should definitely talk to this person. They're going to point you in the right direction of success. You're not asking for a job. You're just asking for advice for someone like you. All right, I'm going to finish it with this. If you're like, I don't want to reach out to those people, that part sounds terrible. What you can do is, let's say you wanted to work at IBM. I'm not saying you do, I'm just saying, what if you did? There's also this thing that you can do, and it's going to be my last thing, and then we'll be done for today, is if you go to the people tab inside LinkedIn, all right, there's 516,000 people who apparently work at IBM. And if you type this in, recruiter, so you type in recruiter, it's going to give you the 3,287 people who have recruiter title. And here's what you look for. You scroll through here looking for anything that says university or internships or new talent. You're looking for those things. And so I'm scrolling through here looking for lead recruiter, talent and operations, principal talent acquisition, senior recruiter, talent acquisition, lead, talent acquisition, recruiter with global. So if I scroll through here, I'm looking for anything that might say like new talent or students or university or anything like that. Now, I haven't found anything yet, which means they may not call themselves that, and that's fine because I've never looked at IBM before. Hiring the best minds in the world to help you recruit. Essentially, you could reach out to any of these people, but if you're in college, it's always better to reach out to the university or the new talent person. So I'm just going to do one thing real quick. I'm going to scroll up here. I'm going to type in university. That did not help. There are other places I've been to before where this is easy. They call themselves university recruiters. So if I go to global talent and operations expert, and one of the things I like to do too is like, if you click on just Jay Weinstein here, and you go over and just take a look at, you could send Jay a message. You can take that same concept of, here's the why I'm reaching out, who am I, why I care about you or the organization, what I want is a 10 to 15 minute phone call to introduce myself, how to reach me. You can do that with Jay here. I could send a message to Jay right now pretty easily. I could just send a message. His messages are wide open. Anybody could send this message to Jay. I could go down here and learn more about who Jay is and who Jay talks to and who Jay's connected with. I can learn more about that, what jobs are available, because they're going to post jobs all over the place. Like this one, we have folks over at Red Hat who are hiring a pretty cool role in EMEA. So like if you're going to see jobs all over the place when you find recruiters. All right, with that, I have like 1 minute. That's kind of how I wanted to finish today, is how to find these people, how to find these jobs, how to introduce yourself to potential mentors, how to create a custom tailored resume per job description, how to start putting a catch-all resume together. So that way it lists all the things that you know how to do by harvesting bullet points that you find on other jobs, how to list your work in the order of knowledge. We have the knowledge of, familiar with, you could be proficient in, you could be an expert in. And as a reminder, just to finish today, don't say no on behalf of someone else, because that's how you don't apply for the job. Apply for the job. If you're interested, if you think you can do it, if you want to learn how to do it, apply for it. Don't say no on behalf of someone else. And humans suck at describing themselves. That's why resumes suck so bad, because we have to describe ourselves. So we're much better at finding something that describes ourselves. So go find all the things that describe who you are, put it all in one document so that way you can apply for whatever position you want to in the future. All right, that's it.
Alrighty, Jason, that was awesome. And I just want to quick say that we do have some announcements, but I know Jason has somewhere to be. But I just want to thank you again. I've used your resources to get myself a job, and that's one of the reasons I reached out to you in the first place to do this. And Jason does such a good job that this may seem comprehensive. However, this is just the tip of the iceberg with the content that he puts out. I learned something new in this, and I've watched multiple different things from him. And then as well as Black Hills Information Security, they're constantly putting out good content with great people, and they're a great example of giving back to the security community. And with that, I am going to go ahead and go back to the slides, which I will have the information up with his contact information. 1 second. Oh, share screen.
Rachel, thank you so much for having me. I got to go pick up my daughter from school.
Of course. Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it.
Good luck, everybody, and happy hunting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen again. And can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. All righty. So yes, again, Black Hills Information Security, they're fantastic. Go ahead and follow them, add them on LinkedIn. I reached out to Jason on LinkedIn without having previously known him, and he agreed to do this segment. So this stuff works. I don't know that we have any time for questions. However, you can go ahead and I'll have some of the contact information if you want to reach out on Discord or email. So make sure to follow Global CPTC on Twitter. If you like this content, we hope to put out more content. Part 2 is going to be acing the interview. This is going to be with multiple members of the CPTC team. Some of them are going to be from the technical side. Some of the people we're going to have from the hiring manager perspective. And also we plan to announce our upcoming theme for next year at the next segment when we have more of the team members on. We also have a segment coming up with Hurricane Labs, Splunk, and CPTC in March. They're fantastic. Our monitoring team is just absolutely phenomenal and are experts in this. So I'm really excited to watch it myself. And I would just like to briefly go over some of our sponsors. I know you've heard about these in the finals, but really, honestly, we could not do all of this without them. So IBM, of course, is our premier sponsor, and we have support from all of these lovely companies as well. And lastly, here are some of the emails which you can reach out to us. If you have any recommendations for anything that you want to see, you can message me on Discord. Right now I'm Wilma Wonka, but I'm working on getting one that's Rachel. And then you can also go ahead and email me at rachel@cp.tc. And does anyone else have any questions for me? Jason has left. However, you can go ahead and ask. And do any other members of the team? I know we have quite a few people on. Does anyone else want to say anything before I close out the podcast?
I just wanted to say we do plan on posting a recording of this onto YouTube. Mm-hmm. So look out for that as well.
Yep, perfect. All righty, well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the share. Thank you so much to all the students as well. We're so happy that you're here.
Thank you.